Hey, what's up, everybody? This is going to be a huge review video. I'm going to jam all the Ring of Honor, Dragon Gate USA, and Evolve shows from the end of 2011 into one video. Definitely did want to talk about the end of 2011 for Ring of Honor. I really did not have a lot of desire to sit through the shows, to tell you the truth. It was definitely a chore, but at the same time, I wanted to fully evaluate just how good Ring of Honor did at the end of the very controversial 2011, which, in my opinion, was the worst year in Ring of Honor history. But still, I definitely did want to give it a chance. And as far as Ring of Honor goes, I'm not really that excited about the Showdown in the Sun double shot. Really have no desire to order it. I just think I need to take a break from the company. You know, I've been following this promotion so long. You know, I've seen them, achieve so much in such a short amount of time from an in-ring standpoint and from a quality standpoint. It's just, I just think they've hit an all-time low, and I just don't like the direction the company's going right now. I'm not going to say it sucks. I hope they do get better. I'm just saying for the time being, I think it's only right that I take a break. And it's not really fair for me to review these shows with such a negative attitude because, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm part of the problem too. It'd be nice if we could find that extra guy on YouTube that could, step up and give us his own opinion of, the Ring of Honor product right now. So there's that with Ring of Honor. Like I said, I'm just going to take a break, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Who knows? It's just how I feel right now. I just have no desire to watch Eddie Edwards, David Richards, Roderick Strong in the main event. It seems like we're going to get that for the time being. Kevin Steen's doing his thing right now, but it's just not enough to keep me, to keep watching the television show and to keep spending money on the promotion. It's just not enough right now. I just feel like the WWE is hot right now. I'm really enjoying the road to WrestleMania. I really am really excited about WrestleMania. And I think Dragon Gate USA and Evolve are definitely onto something. I'm not saying the company doesn't have its flaws, but I think the company is providing us with a lot of fresh, hot, young, and up-and-coming talent that I think deserves to be noticed, and I really appreciate it. And PWG, they're not really running a lot of storylines right now. They never really do, and I think it's kind of taking its toll on the audience. And but they do pump out great show after great show, but still, I just think the indies are they're in a slump right now. Just in general, the indies are definitely in a slump. The talent's just really not there in one promotion. It's spread out. I think the shows would be really. I think the talent is there, but the problem is it's so spread out. Dragon Gate USA is half the talent. Ring of Honor has a certain amount of talent, and then Chikara has a certain amount of talent. I'm a big fan of of super shows. I just love all the talent to be on one show in one company, and that's just not how it is right now. It's definitely not like it was back in 2006, which some people would say is a positive. Some might say it's a negative. It's all up to your opinion. But let's just get right down to it. We have Dragon Gate USA. I'm going to talk about their first show. But before I get to that, WrestleMania weekend, we have the Dragon Gate USA WrestleMania shows. They're going to be running another triple shot, which I'm not really that big of a fan of. I wish they would just focus on one mega show. But, they're flying all these Japanese stars in from Japan. So obviously, I don't think they want to come over just for one show. So it kind of makes sense to run a triple shot. But yeah, $1.99 for the Open the Ultimate Gate show. I'll probably do a quick review, a preview of Dragon Gate USA, Ring of Honor, and the WWE WrestleMania shows next week, and break it down. But for $1.99, I think that's a huge bargain. Definitely, there's no reason why anyone should skip that show. If you want to pick one show next weekend to buy out of the indie shows, I would say go with that, because you save money. You're basically getting it for free, and you're guaranteed to pretty much get at least a great show. So, all right, the first show I want to talk about is Fearless 2011. This took place back in Boston, and the one great thing about the triple shots is I think you're getting variety. It gives them a chance to kind of build up to things as the weekend progresses. There's a lot of positives that are coming out of the triple shots. You could do a tag match one night, then you could do a three-way featuring a lot of up-and-coming high flyers, and then the final night you could do your one-on-one world title match. So you are getting a lot of different elements within the triple shot. The problem is I think the promotion's just not doing a good job of telling people to spend money on one show. They're trying to make every show seem like it's pretty much even. You know, they need to do a better job of just selling one show, which I think they don't want to do because they want people to buy every single show. It's just not healthy. You know, it's not healthy to sit down in front of a computer screen for 9 hours for that weekend and just watch 3 shows in a row. It's just too much. I don't think anyone wants to spend the time or the money to do that. You know, I just think they need to focus on, you know, just promoting one show. Obviously, they want to make the pay-per-view experience available, so you have the option of, you know, following the storylines leading up to the big blow-off show on Sunday night. But I think they need to change this business model. Personally, for me, I would just run maybe 2 house shows. I obviously, you don't want to have the Dragon Gate guys come over just for one show. It's a waste of money. It's just not worth the trip. But maybe have the Friday show be a house show, make the Saturday show be the pay-per-view DVD taping, and make the Sunday show be another house show, non-pay-per-view, non-DVD. I think maybe that's the better way to go. I don't think people want to spend, you know, $20 on house show DVDs or $15 on internet pay-per-view. That's really not going to be that great. So yeah, they just need to do a better job of promoting, you know, the show that needs to stand out. And for this weekend, it should have been Enter the Dragon 2011, and you know, the buy rate was pretty bad for that, from what I heard. So, all right, for Fearless 2011 in Boston, I'm going to give the show about a 7.5. It was a very, very good show, a very, very solid double main event, a very, very solid undercard. Ricochet and Susumu Yokosuka was a lot of fun. Sami, Callihan, and Maasaki Mochizuki was what you would expect. Great stiff action. John Davis from the Dark City Fight Club. This guy is having, you know, great squash matches. Well, not all of his matches are squash matches, but the guy is proving that Ring of Honor dropped the ball with him. He's definitely a very impressive big man for the Indies. Really, nothing but good things to say about him. I know Gabe Sapolsky said that his great year is kind of going under the radar, and I would definitely agree with that. Austin Aries versus Johnny Gargano. This was Austin Aries' final Dragon Gate USA appearances for this weekend before he left for TNA, and him and Johnny Gargano, it made a lot of sense to put these 2 guys together. These guys have a lot in common. I would say this is kind of like a passing of the torch, with Aries passing the torch to Gargano before the weekend ended. Definitely say that. For their singles match here, they went about 25 minutes to a half hour. It was very, very solid stuff. Really, really innovative stuff. They brawled up into the bleachers. There was some brutal stuff. There was some great counters. There was, you know, just great action. But the only problem with the match is the crowd kind of hurt it. The crowd really wasn't as expressive as I thought they could have been. But they got a lot of time, but it wasn't boring at all. Even though the crowd wasn't into it, it felt like an important match. It was just really, really good action. I'll give it about 3 3/4 stars. I thought it could have been better, like I said, to have a better crowd to feed off of. But you know, Johnny Gargano is going on a tear this year. You know, I said Eddie Edwards is probably the most improved wrestler of 2011. I know a lot of people probably disagree with me because it just sounds like an academic pick, I guess, because Eddie accomplished so much this year. But, you know, I don't think anyone was really saying Eddie was the most improved from 2010. But, you know, like I said, another guy that you could argue was the most improved is Johnny Gargano. He's gotten himself into really, really good shape. He's taking himself more seriously now. The video packages, they're building him up as, you know, the next big guy. He's got charisma. He's funny. He's everything that Ring of Honor needs right now is a guy like Johnny Gargano. And, you know, the match between him and Aries was definitely that. I don't think anyone should really sleep on it, you know. The really good stuff. The main event, we have Pac and Masato Yoshino. They open the United Gate Tag Team Champions, taking on Akira Tozawa and YAMATO. YAMATO was still a heel at the time, so it made sense to pair him up with Akira Tozawa. And like I said, you know, one of the tough things about Dragon Gate USA is particularly with Gabe Sapolsky, I really don't think he has that much freedom. I don't really think he could really do a lot, you know, with if he really wanted to push Tozawa. I really felt like Tozawa should have been the man this year. You know, give him the championship, give him the main events, give him everything. But I don't know if he could really do that because of how he's being used in Japan. In Japan, he's a heel. Obviously, in the States, he works a crowd like nobody else on the Indies. He's got so much charisma. I don't know if he could really push him as a babyface champion if he wanted to. I really think his hands are tied because of that. So, and at the same time, you know, a lot of people have bitched about the fact that, you know, Dragon Gate USA should really push the American guys because it is a American promotion. So a lot of people are getting their wish now that Johnny Gargano eventually became the Open the Freedom Gate champion. But this particular match, it was an awesome tag team, main event. Now that they have tag team titles, these tag team matches mean a lot more. It's you're not just seeing singles matches for the championship, which kind of got stale with BB Hulk's title reign. But Akira Tozawa did an awesome springboard Doomsday Device Shining Wizard, which came off really good. Pac and Tozawa work great. Pac and YAMATO work great here, and Yoshino always delivers. This match really, definitely one of the best tag matches I've seen this year. Everyone really go out of your way to see it. Really good stuff. All right, next up we have Gateway to Honor. Yeah, it took Ring of Honor a really long time to follow up on Death Before Dishonor 9. I think they took almost like 2 months off from doing a DVD taping. So we had Gateway to Honor from Collinsville, Illinois. And typical house show. It felt like a house show. Now, I've been to Ring of Honor shows that really haven't been that great on DVD. I went to Boiling Point in Edison, New Jersey. I had a lot of fun at the actual live experience, but you watch it back on DVD, it's probably one of the worst Ring of Honor shows in Ring of Honor history. And you can say the same thing about this. Like, if you were at the show, I could see you having a lot of fun and really being into a lot of the matches, but on DVD, it kind of gets boring. The production values suck for this DVD. And that's the thing about Ring of Honor. They're the biggest indie, but it seems to me like they have the worst production values. Now, Dragon Gate USA, they're not great. From time to time, they have their fuck-ups, which I'll get into a little bit later. But the picture quality looks very grainy. The hard cam look very, very soft for this show. I just think the production values need to get better. And I think they have gotten better since this show, actually. I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe in Collinsville, they just didn't have a good angle for some of the shots. But yeah, with this show, pretty much a generic house show. I thought Jay Briscoe and TJ Perkins had a lot of potential. It just ended up being, it felt like a television match, and it shouldn't have felt like that. I really felt like if this had a better placement on the card, maybe as the opener, maybe as a semi-main event, it could have been a lot better. Instead, it just felt like a throwaway match. Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team versus Future Shock. The crowd was actually into it. They were chanting this was awesome, but I just found it very, very tough to watch. Definitely probably the worst Future Shock match that I've seen. The American Wolves versus the All Night Express Dream main event. The first time we've ever seen these two teams go at it. The Wolves were heels in 2009, and All Night Express were, your opening card heels in 2009 as well. So I guess that's why they never really touched. But it was a good match. It was a breath of fresh air to see these two teams go at it. They dropped the ball at the All Night Express. All Night Express were hot WrestleMania weekend. They were a hot 9th anniversary show. They should have been the team to take the belts off the Kings of Wrestling. And now it's too late. Red Titus got hurt. He's put on some weight. The tag team is very stale right now. It's too late. I don't ever see them winning the tag team championships. If anything, I see Kenny King turning heel on Red Titus and, becoming a great singles wrestler. They could use a heel Kenny King in the main event right now. I think that could do wonders for Ring of Honor right now. Surprisingly, they actually won the match. It was your typical American Wolves match with a lot of great action, but at the same time, King and Titus came to play. I think they won the match with Titus did a frog splash, and then Kenny King did a shooting star press to get the pin on Eddie Edwards. So it was pretty cool, pretty good dissension, and pretty good. They tried to show dissension between Eddie and Davey heading in the final battle. So it was what it was. Overall, Gateway to Honor. It was a pretty fun show to watch live, but on DVD, I just thought it was a pretty poor Ring of Honor. For Ring of Honor standards, it's only about a 6.75. All right, next up we have Dragon Gate USA's Uprising 2011. This show really went under the radar. I haven't heard a single word about this show, to tell you the truth, but definitely was a lot of fun. It was really, really short. Don't let the rating fool you. I'm just going to give it a 6.75 because I just felt like there just wasn't a lot here. I give them credit, though. They're trying to make a lot of these shows seem different. They're trying to give them their own identity. The theme for this show is, high-flying, fast-paced action, young guys in the main event, trying to do something different. And I like it, though. They just said, let the main event be Pac, Ricochet, Rich Swan, non-title, three-way freestyle. Let these guys just do their thing, rock the house. It was going good. They were kind of holding back a little bit, because Pac and Ricochet, they're going to have a huge series of matches coming up. So, Really didn't get to see them go at it, but while this lasted, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of innovative and depth-defying maneuvers. They just really rocked the house. 3.5 stars, but still very, very short, but very, very action-packed. Definitely, I just like what they did. You know, they didn't put the handcuffs on them. They just said, go out there, do what you got to do. So match of the night was actually Akira Tozawa versus AR Fox right before the main event. I thought these guys really delivered. AR Fox is going on a tear this year. He's very well put together. He's very athletic. I see a lot of potential in this guy. And Akira Tozawa, man, he just this is just a vintage performance from him. You know, definitely 3 3/4 stars. Definitely the match of the night. CIMA actually won the 4-way freestyle match to secure himself a title shot against YAMATO. In that same match, Gargano had YAMATO in the crossface, almost made him tap out. So, you know, they're really pushing Gargano hard as, you know, in this match they're showing how he pretty much had YAMATO's number and could definitely win the championship. And the show got off to a great start with the 8-way freestyle match. These guys just brought it. Sami, Callihan, John Davis, Caleb Conley, Pinkie Sanchez, Scott Reed, Flip Kendrick, Luis London, and Alex Colon. All these guys just, you know, the one thing about Sapolsky, it seems like he does not want anyone to hold back from the beginning of the card to the end of the card. Everyone is allowed to just do their thing, and that's pretty, like I said, that was the theme of this show. And I love the freestyle. With, you know, Sami Callihan looked great. All these guys, Pinkie Sanchez, Flip Kendrick is really making a name for himself. John Davis from Dark City Fight Club. All these guys look great. So yeah, I'm gonna give the show 6.75 just because it just felt like there just wasn't enough there. The show left you wanting more, actually, but so there we go with that. Uprising 6.75. All right, so next we have Survival of the Fittest 2011. This was a great show. This is probably the best Survival of the Fittest show, I guess, since maybe 2004. I think you got to go back that far, 8 years ago. So, yeah, man, and the Survival of the Fittest match definitely delivered. You know, you had Michael Elgin and Kyle O'Reilly. It came down to those two guys. They just rocked the house, and finally, you know, they finally ran in a territory that was familiar with the Ring of Honor roster. Like I said before, they ran in Indiana, Las Vegas, and all these different places for Survival of the Fittest. They're just not that connected with the roster, and Dayton, they always run in Dayton, so it worked out pretty good here. And, you know, it wasn't, you know, in years past, you would just have the Survival of the Fittest deliver in the main event, and that was it. The rest of the qualifying matches would just suck. But that really wasn't the case here. You know, you just had a lot of solid matches. Even Eddie Edwards versus Prodigy Mike Bennett. You know, I felt like Eddie got a good match out of Bennett. Definitely. Kenny King versus Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Michael Elgin was a lot of fun. A lot of awesome, you know, Elgin looked great there. And just really, really fun stuff there. David Richards and Jay Lethal versus Hassan Benjamin. I thought this was probably one of Hassan Benjamin's better efforts from the year. You know, Lethal and Richards made them work in that match. Maybe that's why. But overall, man, Survival of the Fittest, I'm definitely going to give it a great score. 8.0, one of the best Ring of Honor shows, I think, from this year, definitely. And the Survival of the Fittest match, I would definitely put it in the top 10 matches that Ring of Honor's had this year. And it featured, you know, it wasn't just Kyle and Elgin, man. It was the Briscoes, Roderick Strong, and Eddie Edwards. I thought they all worked hard. The only gripe with the match, I just hated the way Eddie eliminated the Briscoes pretty much simultaneously, one after the other. I just hate it when they do stuff like that. It just felt kind of unrealistic. But like, give these guys credit, O'Reilly and Elgin. You know, people have been criticizing Ring of Honor for, you know, not making any new stars and not push. I mean, just not having enough guys on the undercard. Well, at least they took a gamble here and let Elgin and O'Reilly do their thing, and they pretty much had this crowd in awe of what they did out there. So, you know, props to Michael Elgin. You know, he doesn't have much of a personality, but the guy is a beast, and he's getting it done in the ring time after time. So there we go with that. All right, next up we have Chasing the Dragon 2011. This is from Indianapolis. As some of you guys might be aware, there's an indie promotion out there called IPW, Insanity Pro Wrestling, from Indianapolis. It's GW Domination. YouTuber on here talks about the shows, goes to the shows. I believe he might actually work for the promotion as well. So yeah, it definitely had more of an indie feel to it than the Chicago show would. So that's how it felt like, which, you know, could kind of hurt your feeling of the show depending on your taste. But the highlight of the show for me was Uhaa Nation. This guy is built like Bobby Lashley. He's a really well-built black guy. He's got a mean, nasty look. He's got great facial expressions. He could definitely go in the ring. He could move. He could do flips. For his size, it's just unbelievable some of the stuff he could do. You know, once in a while, you'll see someone that just blows your mind. You can say, wow, that's the next big thing. Like, this guy could definitely be something. Some people picked him as Rookie of the Year. Heard a lot of great things about him. I was not disappointed. He looked very impressive. This match he had against Aaron Draven was the squash match of the year, in my opinion. I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely, personally for me, was the highlight of the show. Not to take anything away from the main event, because the main event was awesome. Also, you had Naruki Doi versus Sami Callihan in a nice special attraction match. 3.5 stars, very, very stiff. Sami Callihan, for an indie show, if the show felt very indie, and it seemed like Sami Callihan took a little bit too far for Naruki Doi's taste. It seemed like Doi, I'm not saying Doi was trying to phone it in, but I don't really know if Doi wanted to get as crazy as Sami got in the match, but like I said, it's still delivered. Now, my thing with Naruki Doi is I think he's kind of underutilized, or maybe it's just booking commitments or not really wanting to make a lot of flights out to the States. But I just don't know how you go from stealing the show in the first ever Dragon Gate USA pay-per-view, main eventing as the champion, defending the belt as the Open the Dream Gate champion, and then all of a sudden he just goes back down the card to just being, you know, sometimes just being a tag team wrestler, sometimes just being a mid-carder. You know, eventually he lost to Johnny Gargano I believe the next night. So I just don't know. I don't really know why he's being so underutilized, because, you know, Naruki Doi is one of the best that the roster has to offer. So next up we have Masato Yoshino and Yamato teaming up to take on Johnny Gargano and Chuck Taylor of Ronin. So, you know, they're really starting to push Gargano and Taylor hard. You know, to put him in the ring with Yoshino and Yamato, it's a pretty big deal. It's just another match to, you know, prove that, kind of show a little bit of dissension between Gargano and Taylor, because they're both going for the championship, and at the same time, Gargano's out to prove that he can hang with Yamato, because he is the champion. And after the match was over, Chuck Taylor did some really annoying things to piss Yoshino off. I believe he cheap-shotted him after the match was over. So there was that, you know, like I said, particularly with, you know, the Sami Callihan, the Dirty Ugly Fucks, Gargano and Taylor, Rich Swan, who else? AR Fox, Ricochet, even Ricochet. You know, they're letting these guys get on the mic, backstage segments. I just feel like Sapolsky's doing a really, really good job with their characters. I feel like the personalities are definitely there. So the main event, we had Pac and Ricochet are in the midst of this huge feud right now. They're really pushing Pac and Ricochet hard for the Dragon Gate USA finale, a freedom fight. So leading up to that, they did a captain's choice tag team match. You know, Pac could pick 2 guys, Ricochet could pick 2 of his best friends and let them go at it. So we had a 6-man tag here. The theme of the show is athleticism, and I think they picked a good title, because this was one of the most athletic matches I've seen all year. The match definitely delivered. The crowd, considering this was a very, very low, maybe 200, 300 people indie crowd, the crowd was going crazy for this. It's just a totally athletic main event. You know, you definitely had the elements here for something special, and I definitely thought it delivered. Just really, really good stuff. Pretty good storyline progression after the match is over as well. And like I said, Ricochet is doing a good job on the mic and personality-wise as well. He's not just, you know, being, you know, your typical spot guy. So there we go with that. You know, like I said, great main event, 4.25 stars. Definitely an awesome 6-man tag match. Don't sleep on the show. Get this. Definitely try to check out Uha Nation squash match, because it came off really well, and the main event definitely delivered. All right, next up we have Battle of the Carolinas, the 2-disc DVD set. We had Southern Defiance and Northern Aggression. These shows felt very Jim Cornette influenced. I believe they were kind of going for, you know, a Southern wrestling type of show feel to it, and, you know, they were pretty enjoyable. I'm not really going to give them high scores, but, you know, I think they came off pretty fun. They weren't bad. You know, they felt like your old school, you know, pretty solid wrestling shows. This weekend, I particularly thought Jay Lethal proved a lot to me. You know, he's the television champion right now. His matches are really delivering. You know, he's just got a lot of cool moves out there. The lethal injection, just a lot of stuff that he's doing. He could definitely still go, and it's not fair to compare him to Homicide. I know a lot of people were down on Lethal's character, but because without the Macho Man thing, he's showing that he really doesn't have the personality that he thought we had. But the Duke could get it done in the ring. I've been really, really impressed with him. Adam Cole, both singles matches look great. I thought Lethal and Adam Cole on the Northern Aggression show for the television championship was very, very good. They're doing this whole storyline thing with the Young Bucks and the All Night Express. I don't know. They're having the Young Bucks be heels. If anything, I don't know. I would rather have the Young Bucks be baby faces in Ring of Honor because their matches are a little bit more methodical. They're a little bit more storyline based, and they're just not delivering like they do in PWG. So some people might like it. Some people might be against it. Who knows? Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander for these shows. Let me just give my opinion on them. I feel like they're good. They had a good match with the Briscoes. That one dude is very, I don't want to say it, but, kind of reminds me of what Jeff Jarrett called Ronda the Truth Killings a couple years ago. He called him an uppity Negro. I could kind of see Caprice Coleman being that type of guy. He is a motivational speaker. I think he's a personal trainer. And he's got a good personality, too. My problem with both of them is they need to be packaged a little bit better. Maybe that's Ring of Honor's fault. I feel like you could call them, the two Southern Black Boys, or just give them something. Give them some type of identity. They look very, very good. There's no reason why this guy shouldn't be on the roster. This match against the Briscoes really showed me that they definitely do have something special. So give them a lot of credit. I thought Eddie Edwards and El Generico was solid. I thought Eddie and Generico probably was, pretty much just as good as, not as good, but, almost just as good as their PWG match, which was awesome in my opinion. Edwards and Generico, two guys. I'll talk about Eddie Edwards later, but really love that match. All right, so move on to Northern Aggression. This is the show that featured the longest tag match in Ring of Honor history. It went maybe 85 minutes. I think the winners of the match got $10,000, and it was a pretty big deal. To me, the match really felt. Well, let me tell you who's in the match. We had Roger Strong, the Briscoes, Michael Elgin taking on Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team of Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin, Eddie Edwards, and El Generico. And for me, the match really was a chore to watch at some points. I felt like they were just wasting time just to get the fans into it. They were brawling all over the arena. A lot of chaotic, parts in the match where they just kind of cheap heat just to keep the fans into it, which was a good move. But what did it have? The match had a 2-hour time limit, I believe. So, if you look at it from that standpoint, I can't really fault them. That is, you got to keep in mind this was a 2-hour time limit. It wasn't like they were just trying to waste time. So, and it was an elimination match, and I felt like it was good. The elimination thing, it really was. It really picked up once the elimination started occurring, and for this match, the crowd was hot the whole time. So I'll give it about 4 stars. I thought Eddie Edwards looked great. He was definitely the MVP of this match for me, from what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen this, but Eddie Edwards and Roger Strong had great chemistry here. After Eddie won this match, it gave him great momentum heading in the final battle. And I don't know, to me, it just, this would have been perfect to show on television if they could have showed this right before final battle, because it would have got you hyped for it. It would have got you convinced that Eddie definitely had a chance. It had that Southern wrestling crowd type of feel to it, where they really got behind the baby faces. So that was good. Haas and Benjamin were actually the first ones to get eliminated, I believe, and the Briscoes got eliminated as well because they were in the midst of a feud. But Roderick, Elgin, Generico, Edwards, those were the guys that really made the match for me. And I really feel like Eddie Edwards, I feel like they dropped the ball with him. I'll talk more about that with the final battle review, but just a really good main event. Pretty average shows. They definitely felt like your Southern, wrestling shows, which is not a bad thing. It's just, they were just, they pretty much represent what Ring of Honor is all about today, which some people see as a positive or a negative, depending on how you look at it. All right, next up we move on to Dragon Gate USA's Untouchable 2011 from Chicago. I actually reviewed the internet pay-per-view, but there's still a couple people asking me what if anyone reviewed the show, or what did you think of it? Do you recommend it? So I'll just review it again. I watched it back on DVD. It came off a little bit better on DVD. I thought the show I still kind of feel the same way. You know, the last two Untouchables were great. Untouchable 2011 or 2009, excuse me, was arguably the best Dragon Gate USA show and featured the best Dragon Gate USA match with Davey Richards versus Shingo. So this one just really didn't feel it didn't feel as memorable, nearly as memorable, obviously, and it just didn't feel like it was on that type of level. It was just disappointing for an Untouchable. Untouchable was one of their biggest shows of the year. Johnny Gargano, Akira Tozawa, that was the match of the night, in my opinion. Both guys stole the show. They tore it up. 4-star match without a doubt. Pac versus Ricochet, I thought it kind of left you wanting more. You know, really, this is more about storyline progression between the two factions, or all the stables. After the match was over, all the stables kind of, you know, came out there, and it was your typical little spot fest. But you know, Pac and Ricochet, obviously they're having a big blow-off match at Freedom Fight down the road. So I think they were kind of holding back for that. But while it lasted, it was very, very innovative. I believe Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins actually tweeted about the match on Twitter after it was over. So it was still good. I still give it about 3 3/4 stars. Very athletic, very innovative. Just a lot of fun to watch. The rookie duo, Masato Yoshino, Chuck Taylor, and Sami Callihan, I don't think it lived up to his potential. Chuck Taylor actually won the match, and now that he won it, he could pick anything he wants for his stable. So he could basically book anything he wants for the Ronin stable. So in the Open the Freedom Gate title match, we had YAMATO defending the belt against CIMA. This had pretty good storytelling. You know, sometimes in Dragon Gate, you know, the storytelling kind of gets knocked, or the storytelling is overshadowed because of the athleticism. But I would say CIMA is one of the best storytellers in Dragon Gate, without a doubt. I mean, if you just watch the match, the crowd kind of heard it. The crowd really wasn't into the storytelling aspect of the match. But YAMATO was, you know, working over CIMA's knees, and CIMA was working over YAMATO's neck. Both factors came into play towards the finish. I just thought it was a really smartly wrestled match, and still 3 3/4 stars. I think a lot of people kind of overlook it because it wasn't as action-packed of a Dragon Gate match as they would have liked it to be. So yeah, Untouchable, I'll probably give it about 7.75. It's I would definitely say probably the best Dragon Gate USA show that I'm reviewing from the lot, and definitely the best show from the triple shot from September. All right, next up we have Dragon Gate USA's Way of Their Own in 2011. Wow. You know, we've seen a lot of Ring of Honor shows in the past with really bad production values, like Midnight Express Reunion from 2004. I thought that was the worst. But I think this might have to takes it, I think. You know, I know Trademark said in his review that they had some lighting problems. So I was expecting maybe them to look overexposed, or maybe look a little washed out. But wow, they look like they were wrestling in the dark. I mean, it's unacceptable. I was going to say, you know, why would you sell this show for $20 if the first half was pretty much unwatchable? It really took a toll on your eyes, this first half. But wow, I can see why they decided to sell this awesome double main event. You know, this is a problem. You know, this might have ended up being the best, would have gotten the best score out of any show from this review if the lights were on, if they had better lighting. They tried to fix the lighting, but it still wasn't great. It was just, I don't know. This show actually took place in Milwaukee, and last year they had Way of Their Own in when Bryan Danielson faced Jon Moxley, and they had the 6-man Dragon Gate main event. That show was awesome. They had no problems with that show, so I'm not so sure what happened with the lighting issue for this one. But give this crowd credit. The crowd really made up for the bad lighting. For whatever reason, the indie fans in Milwaukee are pretty damn good. So Akira Tozawa took on John Davis from the Dark City Fight Club in the dark. And this was, you know, Tozawa got a nice, solid 10-minute match out of John Davis. Really hard-hitting action. Good stuff. Sabu actually came you know, this show took place when? At the end of September, I believe. Sabu took on Pinkie Sanchez. which was just average to me. You know, Sabu doesn't really look that great. They are using him to get new fans into Dragon Gate USA, so I can't blame him for that. But Pinkie Sanchez, man, this guy has a lot of potential. They actually put him with the Dirty Ugly Fuck, Sami Callihan, Arik, and you know, I'm not a big fan of the DUF, but I think with Pinkie is the third wheel that makes them entertaining, makes them, you know, just makes them, just gives them a little added presence that I think they were missing before. So I really like that stable now. I just think it's very cutting edge. Really nothing to complain about. All right, we have Uhaa Nation versus Flip Kendrick versus Shoki Tonkin versus Facade. Just another great showing from Uhaa Nation. He's really turning a lot of heads. But, you know, this is pretty much a two-match show. Get it for the double main event. Johnny Gargano versus Naruki Doi. It was storyline-wise, this was used for Gargano. Because, you know, like I said, he talked about how, you know, he watched the first Dragon Gate USA show from the rafters, saw Naruki Doi beat Shingo and defend the Open the Dream Gate Championship, and say, wow, you know, how am I going to get to that level, or when am I going to get to that level? And now he actually defeats the guy that main event of the show with the championship, Naruki Doi. He actually beat him. It was a great technical wrestling match, really, really good action. A 4-star match. I really enjoyed this probably more than most people did, and because of the crowd too. You know, the crowd does that. Naruki Doi, and then one guy was like Johnny, they were like Gargano. So I just thought it was fun crowd participation, but at the same time you had a serious, great wrestling match. Gargano actually made Doi tap out with the crossface. A great ending. You know, there was a lot of beautiful counters to Gargano's finisher. I forget what he calls it. Let me know in the comment section what Gargano calls his finisher, because I don't know, it's just not coming to me right now. But yeah, Doi does the muscle bomb, and Gargano does that finisher where he picks the guy up in a full Nelson and just drops him down on his head. So there was a lot of awesome counters to that, and the match was a 4-star match. Definitely good stuff. All right, the main event, 4.5 stars. Awesome, awesome match. This is not a unification match. It's the United Gate titles versus the Twin Gate titles. So basically the Dragon Gate titles from Japan versus the Dragon Gate USA Tag Team Championship champions, and it's a title for title match. Whoever won the match got both titles. So we have Masato, Yoshino, and Pac, the DGUSA Tag Team Champions, versus Ricochet and CIMA, the Dragon Gate from Japan Tag Team Champions. This match is awesome. If the lighting was better, you know, we could be talking about, you know, one of the best matches of the year. I'll give it 4.5 stars. It just really clicked. It definitely very, very satisfying. You know, the near falls, sometimes when you see matches with a whole lot of near falls, you know, sometimes it all depends on the crowd. If the crowd is buying into the near falls, I have no problem with it. The crowd brought into everything here. And this has some really good storytelling as well. Like I said, CIMA really wrestled a very, very smart match. They tried to, you know, dissect and you know, take apart both guys, take apart their knees, really work them over. You know, Pac, you know, struggled to make the hot tag to Yoshino. Once Yoshino did get the hot tag, the match got awesome. There was just really, CIMA and Yoshino had just, these guys have been wrestling each other for years, you know, going back maybe 10 years ago. So, you know, they just had great chemistry towards that finish, and the finishing sequence was just awesome. There was actually interference as well from Junction 3 and the Blood Warriors, kind of reminiscent of the tag match from the Kobe Festival. Very, very similar to that. I guess that's where Gabe got the idea from, so that played into the booking of the match. But yeah, this was awesome, awesome stuff. I'm actually gonna give it 4.5. I just thought it was that good. So yeah, really good stuff. Way of the Ronin, even though it had lighting problems, and if it wasn't for the lighting problems, I would give the show added points. But I'm only gonna give it a 7.5 because of the terrible lighting of the first half, where it felt like you were just wrestling in the dark. So yeah, that's Way of the Ronin 2011. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which was a great crowd. Give that crowd a lot of credit. All right, next up we have Final Battle 2011. Now, I have a lot to say about the show because, you know, obviously there's some people on here, the British guys, British Fist, whatever they call themselves. They come in here. They said about commented on everyone's review, and you know, made video responses saying, "You're a bunch of ROH bots. You give a show a 7.5, and you say it's disappointing. You're a bunch of ROH bots." I don't know. With, you know, these guys, I just think they're just not in tune with the rating system that True Slayer kind of, you know, I'm not going to say perfected. I'm just going to say the standard that True Slayer set with the rating system. We pretty much rate shows a certain way on here. So a 7.5 still means it's good. So, you know, I'm basically crapping on Final Battle when I did the review. I guess that's how it came across. I didn't mean to totally crap on the show. I was just very, very angry, very disappointed with some of the booking that was on the show. I'm not saying it was a bad show. I was just disappointed because I was expecting a lot. I spent a lot of money on Final Battle tickets. I was hoping that the company would, make strides and we'd see a turning point. I was hoping to see a better connection with the roster in the audience. That wasn't the case. Just a lot of things I had a problem with. Now, just because I'm saying it's disappointing doesn't mean it's a bad show. And I know guys like Trademark and LV have talked about this, but I would be doing a great injustice to everyone that's watching the review if I was just to crap on it and give it a 4.5 or a 5.0 or a 5.25. That's what people gave Victory Road 2009. Was this show as bad as Victory Road 2009 or your typical garbage TNA pay-per-view? Or an awful WWE pay-per-view like Great American Bash 2004. No, it was still good. It's just I was just highly disappointed because they built up Eddie and Davey as being the great, was guaranteed to be the greatest match of all time. Even Roderick Strong said it. This better be the greatest match of all time or else I'm going to throw a fit. And, the booking of the second half was atrocious. I'm not saying it was a bad second half. It was just bad for Ring of Honor standards, disappointing because I thought it would be a little bit better. Now, the match had Kevin Steen versus Steve Corino, which was an awesome match. It definitely had your match of the year candidate, show the steel type of match. So it gets credit for that. It had a very good opener, Michael Elgin versus TJ Perkins. El Generico, Jay Lethal, and Mike Bennett overachieved. It was a really, really fun match. It had a fun atmosphere with Maria out there. People were going crazy over her. Generico put on a clinic out there, doing the torpedo DDTs through the ring ropes, just putting on a clinic. Jay Lethal worked hard. Bennett was Bennett, so it is what it is. I'll still give it a match 3.5 stars. So I thought the first half was good. I even told Trademark, like when I saw him at intermission, I said, "Wow, that first half was probably better than the first half of Final Battle 2010." This show's on a great pace to be in a great, awesome show, an amazing show. But they dropped the tag team gauntlet. It was boring. Chris Hero and Roger. Those tag team gauntlets, they don't work in New York City. Any type of ultimate endurance marathon match, Ring of Honor, definitely don't book that for New York City again. Nothing like that again. Chris Hero and Roger Strong, it kind of took the life out of us because it was kind of clear that Hero was taking some type of, steroid or growth hormone to make his body look a little bit better. So it's I think that kind of took the life out of it. And plus, it went a little bit too long. Whenever you have a surprise babyface return, Ultimate Warrior versus Honky Tonk Man. Think of that. It doesn't go too long. I'm not saying it had to be a squash, but, and Briscoes versus Haas and Benjamin, very idiotic booking here. I mean, this has so much potential. I love it when the baby faces get booed, and that was definitely going to happen. It was a blown opportunity. Instead of just letting this be, a great tag team match with great reaction from the crowd, booing the baby faces, cheering the heel Briscoes. It could have been a classic. It could have been something special, but, I don't know who booked this. Maybe it was Cornette. Maybe it was Delirious. Instead of being a wrestling match, it ended up being a chair shot contest. So, all right, main event, Davey Richards versus Eddie Edwards. Okay, it's very, very disappointing because of the storyline. The storyline sucked. The promos were terribly executed. The interest in the overall storyline with Eddie Edwards going behind Davey's back to train with Danny B. Severn, it's not something that is very, very, holds a lot of weight in the personality department. Just not a lot of people were invested in it. Just not a lot of people like these guys as personalities. I mean, they're great wrestlers, but we don't really, they're really not likable guys. They're two guys I don't really think you really would want to hang out with. If you did it, I mean, if you didn't really know who they were or what their profession was. So, that really hurt the show. Booking these 45-minute matches at Final Battle doesn't work. I thought Tyler Black and Austin Aries proved that to the Office 2 years ago. Obviously, they didn't get the memo about that. The match there's just no connection with the fans. I mean, they tried hard. I know Sean Carlton Zero talked about how he felt like they were trying to duplicate a certain match from Japan. I can't remember which one it was. So that was kind of a turnoff to him. So, for me to say it was a bad match, I can't say that. I was actually, my ass was kind of sore because the show was so long. My ass was sore from sitting down for so long. These guys are killing each other in the ring. and the crowd just doesn't give a fuck. They're chanting, "This match sucks." So I'm not going to come on here and be an asshole and say that the match was terrible while I'm sitting on my ass the whole show and sore. That would just definitely be a I wouldn't be a good person for saying that. They definitely did work hard, and I'm not saying it was a bad match. I'll give it about 3 3/4, maybe 4 stars, but it's still disappointing though. They hyped this match up like it was going to be the greatest thing since, you know, I don't know, since Hulkamania, and it just wasn't there. It just was not there. So and it left a bad taste in people's mouths. My mood after the show was terrible. You know, the people you meet up with after the show, usually you're in a good mood. You're happy to see everybody. That wasn't the case. I think even in Instant Classic G1 said, "Wow, you look pissed." So, you know, so it is what it is for this particular show. But I'm not going to say it's a bad match. It was still, you know, they still brought it. They still worked extremely tough, extremely hard. Eddie Edwards took some of the most vicious bumps you'll see this year. So I'm not going to come on here and say, you know, awful match. You know, it's still better than, it was pretty much better than every single TNA main event from last year. So, I'm still going to give the show about a 7.5. All right, before we move on from Final Battle, I just want to talk about the Ring of Honor World Title. I think the title right now is one of the biggest problems with the promotion, and it's been a problem for a while. And, you know, maybe even you could go back to the Nigel McGuinness World Title reign. When Nigel won the belt, a lot of people thought it seemed kind of, you know, stale, like he didn't really deserve it at the time, like it just wasn't the right time. Well, I don't know, it seemed to me like the plan actually was, and I didn't know about this, but it kind of makes sense. Because I thought Gabe Sapolsky always did a really good job of making sure the right guy had the belt who was hot. But they wanted to have Nigel win the belt in England. So I think the reign would have come off a lot better if they actually, you know, were allowed to have Nigel win the belt in the UK as planned. But, you know, plans fell through or whatever. But ever since then, I don't know what you attribute it to. It's just every time a guy wins the Ring of Honor World Title, it just feels like a lifetime achievement award. Like, oh, this guy's never had the belt, so let's give it to him. Or this guy was hot a year ago, so now let's give it to him. You know, this happened with Jerry Lynn, with Tyler Black. With Austin Aries, I felt like that was a pretty good decision because Aries' character was really catching on, and you know, it was, you know, I had no problems with Aries playing a heel in 2009. I thought that worked out pretty well actually. But you know, with Tyler Black, even with Roderick Strong, more than anything, that felt like, oh, Roderick, you've been with the company since 2003. Tyler Black is gone. David Richards is in Japan, so let's just give you the belt. Definitely felt like that. And David Richards as well. You know, when he won the belt from Eddie, it just seemed like it was 2 years too late. It really did. Now, I felt like they got it right with Eddie Edwards. I felt like Eddie Edwards came off with that big match, big tour in Pro Wrestling Noah. People were really starting to get behind him. A lot of people started to hear whispers that he was the better American Wolf. And, you know, for him to win the belt before debut, I felt like he had something good there storyline-wise. But I think Ring of Honor really dropped the ball with it. There was no heel turns. You know, a lot of people were, you know, debating about how they should have done it. A lot of people won the belt, and a lot of people thought Eddie was fucked because now this whole situation came about. But I don't know. I really thought they had something good to play with there. You know, I really felt like David Richards should have turned heel. If David was going to win the belt before the end of 2011, he should have turned heel. I think that was the only way to do it. I thought that would have been the right way to do it. I don't know. I don't know what they were afraid of. Maybe you could blame the television deal, but I don't know. Bottom line is, you know, it goes when Austin Aries won the belt in 2004. Boom, he was hot. It was the right time. It seemed so fresh. You know, you got to give it to the guy that's hot right now. You know, look at the NBA or look at NFL, Tebow, Jeremy Lin. If you were running a promotion right now, you know, you would give the belt to those guys. You know, if you were running like a promotion where, you know, you want to get them over, you want to give the belt to the guy that's hot, you know, you would give it to someone that's really catching on, really making a name for themselves. So they got to stop this, you know, let's wait 2 years to give them the belt type of thing, because I think that's one of the biggest problems. So, you know, overall with Final Battle, a lot of people were asking me, you know, maybe you should give the Eddie Edwards versus David Richards match another look on the DVD, because, you know, you might have been kind of burned out because it was such a long show. My thoughts really didn't change. I thought it came out probably even worse on DVD. You know, the crowd just wasn't there. The connection with what was going on in the ring just wasn't there. It was just a bunch of flat air. I mean, the effort was great. I still thought it was a great match. or a good match, so to say. So yeah, so I pretty much thought the show was yeah, still a 7.5. But my opinion really didn't change. If anything, it got a little bit weaker actually. So but still, if you consider giving this a 4.5 or a 5.0, then you're just not familiar with the rating scale. It's just you would be totally off. The final battle was not a Victory Road 2009 or a Victory Road 2011 or a typical garbage TNA pay-per-view. That just wouldn't be fair. All right, next up we have Dragon Gate USA's Revolt from the return back to Boston. This is the only November show. The final show I reviewed from DGUSA for this video. It was the first show from the November triple shot. And my man Frankie Shepard, the guy that's commenting on a lot of videos, and he makes his own. Subscribe to him as well. He makes videos too, and he actually told me that Dragon Gate USA Revolt was his show of the year. So that's saying a lot. And yeah, he was really high on the show. So there was a lot of anticipation for this. The no rope, no DQ match between BB Hulk and Yamato got a lot of attention. But I was kind of disappointed in the show. I was hoping it would be a little bit better. Didn't really quite hold up. I was anticipating this as DGUSA finally putting on that awesome, amazing show, really knocking it out of the park. It was pretty much just as good as the other shows, and I just give Dragon Gate credit. The shows haven't really been blow away, must see, but I feel like they are making strides. And it's tough though. It's tough with the language barrier. BB Hulk and Yamato with that storyline, and some of the other guys. It's really, really tough to blend everything in to appeal to everybody. I totally understand that, but I feel like I said, I feel like with some of the other guys like Callihan, like even a guy like Ricochet, I feel like these guys are really coming into their own in the personality department, especially Gargano. Gargano he's been the man, and I'm really happy that he won the belt. So yeah, with this show, Akira Tozawa versus Masato Yoshino was really, really good. Disappointing, some might say, but it didn't get a lot of time. It had your really quick finish. It was a little bit more submission based, and Tozawa actually countered Yoshino's his lightning spiral into a German suplex to get the win. And it was probably, this is probably one of my favorite matches of the year under 10 minutes. Like I said, a little bit more submission based, and then it picked up towards the end. Obviously, if you give these two guys a little bit more time, a little bit more freedom, these are probably my two favorite wrestlers from not just from Dragon Gate, but maybe from Japan. Because I really love both guys, and so hopefully that's not the end of them. Hopefully they'll wrestle a little bit more. I thought their chemistry in the PWG Kurt Russell reunion main event was great, actually. So also, yeah, John Davis from the Dark Sea Fight Club for Sami Callihan, which was a really, really solid, stiff match. Awesome stuff there. They're really, the dirty, ugly fucks they're really getting over it too. The fans really are connecting with them. A lot of DUF chants throughout the whole weekend. Johnny Gargano and Chuck Taylor versus CIMA and Brodie Lee. I was thinking Brodie Lee might bring this match down, but not at all. This is still 3 3/4 stars. This might have been the match of the night in my opinion. I thought Gargano and Taylor showed a lot of charisma. They went back to playing their goofy characters in this match, even though they were gearing themselves up for title shots. Chuck Taylor was going to get the title shot the next night in Philly, and then Gargano the title shot in New York City against Yamato. So there's a little bit of kind of playful antagonism between both of them. So that was cool. And CIMA looked great here. Brodie Lee didn't bring the match down at all. He really worked well for a big man with these two athletic guys. So, and I really thought it came together pretty nicely. Now, I didn't like the fray. They were billing this up as the biggest fray in Dragon Gate USA history. Pac, Rich Swan, AR Fox, Uhaa Nation, Ricochet, and Sabu. The match had its moments, but it was kind of like a Royal Rumble type of gauntlet type of thing, where a guy would come down one by one. I was just hoping it would be just a fray with them just going at it, and hoping it would be just an entertaining spot fest. But Uhaa Nation actually turned down an offer to join the Scene. So the Scene came out and kind of screwed Uhaa Nation and took him out of the match. So that kind of sucked. But Uhaa Nation looked really, really impressive. He got the fans were just in awe of some of the things he did. Another great showing from him. Ricochet and AR Fox looked good with Pac. There was in the middle of the match before Sabu came out. The match was really starting to get going, but Sabu came out, and it came out to Sabu and Ricochet, and the match just kind of lost its luster with those two guys. But Ricochet actually defeated Sabu clean, so a big win for Ricochet. 3 1/4 star match. And the main event, we had no rope, no DQ. BB Hulk versus Yamato. This is the biggest feud in Dragon Gate USA history. And, you know, like I said, I think Sapolsky really has his hands tied when you talk about his freedom as far as the booking goes. Because a lot of people were disappointed with BB Hulk's title reign. And then I think some people were even disappointed with Yamato's title reign. So I'm not really sure if he really, you know, I'm sure Gargano is, you know, more of a Sapolsky booking decision. But I'm kind of thinking maybe the Dragon Gate USA office, you know, really wanted, you know, BB Hulk to become a bigger name in the States and Yamato to become a bigger name, because those guys really didn't have the Ring of Honor exposure that a guy like Shingo or Masato Yoshino or CIMA or Naruki Dora, those guys had. So that's probably why. So, you know, this is the biggest feud. You know, they opened up the Dragon Gate USA, Enter the Dragon 2009 show. Yamato actually took the title off of BB Hulk. You know, Yamato was the heel at first. Now BB Hulk joined Blood Warriors. Now he's the heel. So they were going back and forth for, you know, 27 months. This is the culmination of the whole feud, and it was kind of disappointing to me. I think they did some pretty brutal things with chairs and with, you know, garbage cans, and there was some pretty stiff actions, some stiff kicks. They couldn't really use the ropes. I really, you know, I really wish this was a no DQ match with the rope. You know, with Dragon Gate, you're expecting these guys to really use the ropes to their advantage. So they were pretty much limited with what they could do, but the crowd really liked it. There was some really, really awesome exchanges and really awesome sequences with BB Hulk, with his kicks, with his, you know, just moves and maneuvers, and you know, the stiffness and the everything. Just, they really had a lot of chemistry here, and that you could just definitely tell them working together for a while. And you know, the finish was pretty unsatisfying. You know, Yamato actually hit the gonorrhea on the chair to BB Hulk, and pretty much that was it. I was hoping he would kick out and we get, you know, some more back and forth action, but, you know, I'll just barely give it 3 3/4 stars. You know, I was just expecting a lot more. So overall, Dragon Gate USA Revolt, another solid DGUSA show, but still, none of these Dragon Gate USA shows really broke out and delivered, you know, a must-see show. So, so there it is. I'll give it about 7.5. All right, so I'm going to move on to Evolve. We have Evolve 9, Gargano versus Taylor. You know, this show was really good. It ended up being probably the best double main event in Evolve history. I wouldn't say it was quite as good as Evolve 7. That's my personal choice for the best Evolve show to date so far. So, yeah, you know, this featured the classic Sami Callihan versus Finlay match. The match got a lot of attention, got a lot of praise. It was nominated as the Match of the Year candidate. It placed really high on my Match of the Year countdown that you guys voted for, or some of you guys voted for. And it seemed to go a little bit more appreciated with the international fans. A lot of the pro wrestling community really liked it a lot. I believe AMC N1 and Daniel had it on the top 5 matches of the year. And yeah, man, it was just a breath of fresh air to see Finlay back. You know, the guy's really old right now, but still, he's just, you could just learn a lot from him, you know, just watching his matches. Right? There's just no wasted motion. Every single step of the way, the guy, you know, he just finds a way to keep the crowd into it without doing a lot. And he's definitely, you know, if you're a wrestler trying to make a name for yourself right now, I think, you know, Finlay is one guy that you could definitely look at as a role model. So definitely an awesome match. It kind of it proves that, you know, maybe the indie scene needs to evolve back to that style, you know, with storytelling, with just, you know, stiffness, aggressiveness, without doing a whole bunch of, you know, I think the Davey Richards, Young Bucks, Jack Evans, you know, those type of you know, indie wrestlers, that type of style, the no selling, the high spots, the enormous amount of near falls. You know, maybe that style has kind of run its course, and maybe, you know, the Finlays and the Benoits and, you know, the Daniel Bryan. I think that style definitely needs to come back to the indies with the, you know, the storytelling and, you know, just the no wasted motion. And, you know, just take a look at this match. It was, like, a lot of people, it's not for everybody though. I know a lot of people thought it was disappointing. Some people said, why is Gabe promoting this as a Match of the Year candidate? I didn't think it was that good. Some people said that. So there's a lot of mixed feelings about it, but I thought it was great. You know, the crowd did appreciate it. They were chanting, "This is awesome." And they really weren't, you know, going for the high spots. They weren't going for, you know, anything crazy. They were just, you know, telling a great story. And so there we go with that. I've talked about the match before, so I don't really want to dissect it, you know, hold by hold. The main event was Johnny Gargano versus Chuck Taylor. You know, you got the two hottest guys from the Evolve Dragon Gate USA scene. going at it. These guys were actually tied as far as wins and losses go at Evolve 7. Then they had their impromptu not rubber match, but tie-breaking match. And there was kind of a screwy finish with Larry Dallas and Rebby Sky, and I believe Johnny Gargano actually won by submission. So this is the rematch. And these two guys are close friends. They work together in Chikara in the Fist stable, and they also are part of the Ronin stable. So I imagine they're friends. They're on the road all the time. And when guys are friends and when they're really close, I just think it eliminates a lot of stress. It really is. I would just imagine that it just makes it so much easier. It just eliminates the whole process of going up to a guy, introducing yourself, asking this, asking that, asking maybe are you comfortable with this. It eliminates all the hesitancy about some of the fear you might have of asking would he like to do this, would he like to do that. So you get what I'm trying to say. When friends work together, sometimes it makes for a good combination, and sometimes maybe it makes for a weaker combination. It all depends, but I thought they worked really well here. These two guys got so much charisma, and they're more likable than from a personality standpoint than Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. And I think I'm at the point right now, and I think a lot of guys would agree that you would probably rather watch a Johnny Gargano Chuck Taylor match than an Eddie and Davey match or a Roderick and Davey match at this point. I think a lot of people kind of feel that way. And Johnny Gargano eventually he won the opened the Freedom Gate title, like I said before, and I just think it was a good move because I think Gargano got hot, and I think Sapolsky recognized that, and he put the title on him right away. So I think that was a good move. I think he's the right guy to be champion. So there we go with that. Evolve 9 had a great double main event. Also on the show, you had Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen actually cut one of the best promos of the year. Really, if you like shooting, you'll definitely love it. He shot on Ring of Honor. He called it Ring of Horseshit. He kind of brought the whole Ring of Honor, Jim Cornette, Davey Richards feud over into Evolve, which I'm kind of surprised supposed to let him do. But give Gabe credit for letting him run with it. It just proves that Gabe Sapolsky is a team player here. He's very unselfish, and he's open to doing different things just to get people talking. And he talked about a lot. He talked about CM Punk and how Punk stole his idea. He did it in a joking way about the whole shoot on Raw. Also, he kind of flipped everything and blamed Sapolsky for his hatred for El Generico, because Gabe is the one that made him team with Generico. Talked about that, so now he wants to take apart Evolve. So it was just a great shoot kind of promo from Steen. Just really made the show a lot better. And Steen actually attacked Bobby Fish during his match with John Davis. It ended up being a triple threat match. That was a lot of fun. Also on the show, we had Lince Dorado versus Pinkie Sanchez. You got the two BDK guys from Chikara going at it. That was really, really solid stuff. Pinkie Sanchez, dude's got a lot of potential, so happy to see him get the win over Lince. Also, the match that really surprised me on the show is Tony Nese versus John Silver. A lot of you guys know Tony Nese from TNA right now, but yeah, John Silver, I believe he's from a local indie from Long Island. The guy just doesn't have a great look, kind of on the shorter side. Really, he really needs to kind of revamp his look if he wants to go anywhere. But he looked really impressive though. A lot of nice strikes. He really he took Tony Nese to the limit. He actually upset him and defeated him. Came off really well. It was definitely one of the show-stealing matches of the night. 3.5 stars for that. So that was Evolve 9 from BB Kings. Definitely a great show. All right, so this will be the final video for this review. So let's just finish this up. We have Evolve 10. This was the last show of the ECW arena. It's finally closed down, and I definitely think it's a good thing. This ECW arena, the crowds. I mean, they just attracted crowds that were terrible. I mean, besides King of Trios and besides your occasional Dragon Gate show, I just thought they were an awful crowd. You wouldn't think they were a wrestling crowd. You really thought, if you just listen to them, they sound like more of a Bible studies crowd, and at times they could get kind of disrespectful from time to time. They just kind of wait to crap on things. They just, I don't know. They killed the ROH on HDNet tapings for me, which was, HDNet delivered some great stuff. I swear to God, the HDNet show from a wrestling standpoint is making the Sinclair stuff look like SmackDown from 2002, from late 2002. So it's just, I don't know. I just think the crowd is terrible. For CZW, I think they were awful from the few CZW shows I've seen, and so I'm just glad that they're moving on and it's done with. But you know, I did think the arena was good for Chikara, though. You know, I definitely think it fit a lot of Chikara shows very nicely, especially King of Trios. But yeah, Dragon Gate USA and Evolve, now they're kind of co-promoting together. There's only one website, so it's a lot easier to digest, and you know, a lot of the storylines, and now you could defend open the Freedom Gate title in Evolve. So it's really, really good stuff. You know, the extra Evolve shows are definitely going to progress a lot of storylines and really gonna, you know, I think make people feel more connected with and not confuse as much people now that they're kind of co-promoting together, and you know, everything is parallel now, which wasn't the case. You had heels that were baby faces, heels from Dragon Gate that were baby faces in Evolve, and the opposite as well. So I just think this is going to work a lot better now. So yeah, first up we had Low Ki making his return, shocking everyone. He's going to be part of Dragon Gate USA and Evolve now, which, you know, I've talked about this before. It's very surprising to me that you know, him and Gabe are back together after all the trials and tribulations. But I don't know. I think it's a good fit for him. I definitely think Low Ki has a lot of respect for, you know, the art of Japanese wrestling. So I don't know, him going to Ring of Honor, I just don't think the timing would be right anyway. So it's a good thing. He just knocked the crap out of this guy Atua, and you know, his promo was pretty awesome. You know, if you heard Trey Mark's interview with Big Rat, he pretty much summed up everything that you know, he told Trey Mark or whatever. So that was pretty cool. And so yeah, from, you know, this was just an awful show though. I definitely think the crowd heard it. Just a lot of Johnny Gargano's injury was a huge part of the show. It was just unfortunate, you know. So let me just talk about the good stuff. Low Ki's return was cool. AR Fox versus Jigsaw was a pretty awesome match. I give it about maybe 3 1/4. Both guys just really worked a very fast paced match. Jigsaw looked really smooth. He got some awesome high spots with AR Fox pulling off a 450 splash. He did the guillotine leg drop on the ring apron. The crowd really got going here, and just a beautiful finish with Jigsaw countering the running. I don't know what AR Fox calls that. The running the running belly to belly flip off the top rope. Jigsaw countered that, just a beautiful counter, and then he nailed him with the super kick to end the match. Just really sweet stuff there. Definitely one of the probably the match of the night. Next up we had the other good match was Super Smash Brothers versus Chuck Taylor and Rich Swann. Crowd was dead for this, but you know, as the match progressed and it got more athletic and it got more spotty, it really flowed nicely, and just a lot of nice double team maneuvers. And you know, they did the get over here spot with player Uno, or I'm sorry, player Dos. Just really good stuff there. The match definitely delivered. About a 3.5 star match. That was good. Also, Sami Callihan versus Bobby Fish. The crowd hated this, but I respect what they were doing. It was more MMA based, more technical. I love the selling here. Bobby Fish with some awesome selling, very dramatic. Just pretty hard hitting action and very submission based. I had a lot of respect for what they were going for. The crowd just did not give a fuck about it, so it didn't come off that good. You know, usually if the crowd hates a match, it ruins it for me. But this is a match I still enjoyed, even though the crowd sucked. So I'll give that about 3 stars. So that was the good stuff. The bad stuff was there's nothing really bad. There's some good squash matches actually. I mean, you had Uha Nation had a squash match against Pinkie Sanchez. John Davis's Dark City Fight Club had a squash match against Kyle Matthews, and then he challenged Finlay after the match was over. So I'm not going to say squash matches are a bad thing. There's just the show just definitely had a dead crowd throughout the whole thing, and then the main event was kind of a disaster. Johnny Gargano actually lost feeling in his legs. So the match was against Ricochet. This match had a lot of potential. The crowd was really into it at first. It was some good chain wrestling. They were really feeling each other out. Crowd was very respectful, but as the match went on and as it was ending, they got really disrespectful. They got really I don't know, I guess if you were watching the match, there was really not that one part where you saw Johnny Gargano get injured. You really can't pick out the spot. He just lost both feelings in his legs, and he injured his back. If anyone has an update on Johnny Gargano and what he exactly hurt, I know it was basically a back injury, but I get the feeling it was something a little bit more than that. There's really not a lot out there about the actual injury. But him and Ricochet, I thought they tried hard. It went very long, and the crowd just was getting very impatient and very frustrated as the match went on. I mean, you could definitely notice Gargano just wasn't moving like himself, so something was definitely up. And after the match was over, Gargano was dead. He was just lifeless, and they had to carry him out of the ring. So it was a pretty scary situation there. But overall, I would say this is probably Evolve's weakest effort to date. It just was. I would definitely say probably so. You know, from 2011, I'll say if you want to pick up 2 Evolve shows, Evolve 7 was great, Evolve 9 was good. Evolve 8, the style battle, you could skip that. It was a tournament, didn't really go that well. They had it in Union City, which is a terrible location. Aerofox actually won the tournament. I definitely would not recommend it. You know, I would have reviewed it. I just watched it a long time ago, so I didn't have any star ratings or a rating for you. So definitely, I would say Evolve 8 and Evolve 10 were probably the worst Evolve shows ever. Those 2 shows. As far as Dragon Gate USA, some of the shows. I mean, a lot of the shows that I rated in this review video were about maybe 7 to 7.5. Nothing really must see. So you know, some of the best Dragon Gate USA shows from 2011. I would definitely recommend checking out the shows from January, the United shows where they crowned the first ever tag team champions. Out of all those, I would say United Philly was the best one. Definitely had the best main event. Probably the best overall show was United Philly. From WrestleMania weekend, you could skip Open the Southern Gate. Even Open the Ultimate Gate was just okay. You know, it was maybe 7.5, 7.75 on that level. But Mercury Rising from WrestleMania weekend was must see. You know, that featured Austin Aries versus Yamato for the Open the Freedom Gate title. That was an awesome show. From the summertime, recommend Enter the Dragon 2011, the anniversary show. That was the best show from the June triple shot. From September, like I said, Untouchable 2011, probably the show to pick up from September. I'll give that about 7.75. And then from the fall shows aren't out yet, but from what I've heard, Freedom Fight 2011 is probably the best Dragon Gate USA show of the year, I've heard. That's where Johnny Gargano wins the title. So when that comes out on DVD, definitely try to check that out. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, this video is not for everybody. I'm not trying to please everyone. I'm not trying to force this down anyone's throat. This is just for the people that are interested in Dragon Gate USA, Evolve, Ring of Honor. You know, it's for you. You know, I'm not doing this video to entertain anyone. This is just, you know, this is just me trying to you know, help people out, and you know, because I did have time to watch these shows. I definitely wanted to give Dragon Gate USA a chance. So so here it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next week I'll have a WrestleMania weekend preview of WrestleMania and the indie shows. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and take it easy.